GrokTALK.
New Hampshire is famous for scenic drives, but they're tough to enjoy when you're on your way to the doctor. Because Obamacare limits your choices, some will have to drive more than an hour to see a doctor. What's health insurance worth if care isn't there when you need it? Jean Shaheen voted for Obamacare, putting your doctors and hospitals further out of reach. Tell Senator Shaheen Obamacare is not working for New Hampshire.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to another edition of GrokTALK, brought to you by New Hampshire's leading conservative blog site, GrokTALK.com. We are your feared, extremist, right-wing, hard-charging, gun-toting, opinionated, outspoken, rabble-rousing, letter-writing, radio microphone-stomping conservatives and rational libertarians. So get ready for more news and opinion you can only get from GrokTALK.com.
GrokTALK.
All right, welcome back to GrokTALK, brought to you by GrokTALK.com and the Coalition of New Hampshire Taxpayers. Visit them at cnht.org. Visit us at GrokTALK.com. Check us out on iHeart, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher, and iTunes, available online, or get the app and take us with you, please. You don't have a microphone. Why are you talking? See? This might be a good thing. I like to pick on Skip. Without whom none of this would be possible, by the way.
Indeed.
Let's not forget about that. So, Kevin Kerwick,
including this rat's nest of wires.
Including this rat's nest of wires, exactly. Actually, if you're not going to talk, could you give her the headset so I can take that off, because it screws up the audio? Okay, so switch those wires and things and do that stuff, and then unplug that other thing so we can listen to her, and that'll be fine. So he's going to fix that while we move on to Kevin, who started an interesting discussion. I guess interesting is the right word, over at the RLCNH blog site, and we can talk about that, or we don't have to, or we can talk about any of the things that came up in that stream. But there was something in the neighborhood of like 1,000 comments to this thing.
Pretty
and
wild.
I actually made one remark on it, so naturally I got every single status update, and I would like leave my laptop to go to lunch, and I'd come back and there would be 100 comments, and then I would like go to sleep and I would wake up and there would be like another 100 comments, and this went on for days and days and days. And I checked in every now and then when Kevin wrote something I went to see, because I figured I could get a flavor for what was going on during the discussion.
I'm flavorful. I am very flavorful.
And well, you do sell beer, so and so talk to us about that. That was it's not everybody who can just throw something out on Facebook and get 1,000 people.
I don't know how it
people to
happened
make
either.
1,000 remarks.
Yeah.
It wasn't 1,000 people.
Yeah, but I read the things that I read what Susan writes religiously. I read what everybody writes a lot. So, but I get frustrated. I want to put some things out there, and social media is a powerful vehicle for information sharing and for activism. And I'm an activist, so I like to put some ideas out there. And this just came from a frustration, not so much that I'm really happy with the Republican Party, but for me at this stage in kind of where we are, I just feel like we're spending way too much time criticizing kind of our own, and not enough time really going after the biggest enemy in the room, which are the kind of Marxist Democrats, the Democratic Party. And so that's what I really wanted to say.
It was a resource question. It wasn't necessarily a philosophical debate about whether there were good Republicans, bad Republicans. It was just like certain people were spending an awful lot of time attacking. Pick a candidate. It doesn't matter. I mean, you could pick a. Hang on. Talk.
David Booten.
David Booten. Yeah. I mean, and he deserves our outrage and our umbrage. But I think his point is that yeah, he sucks. Great. That's fantastic. He's not even in my district, so I mean, you can attack him all you want. I have my own issues over there, but I've been attacking Jean Shaheen nonstop since before she was a senator. I'm not going to stop now. Just as an example, if I was going to focus my energy on Democrats, because as a party, Jean Shaheen's just another part of their little Borg empire, and they all vote the same way, pretty much. You're rarely going to find a Democrat who doesn't vote that way. Right. So when she ran for office, I was like, do we really need another Democrat in Washington, D.C.? Do we? Really? Well, we have another problem. We have Republicans in New Hampshire who vote like Democrats. Do we need another? So, I mean, that was the debate. And it was really just a resource issue. You know, who should we be spending the most time talking about? Democrats and their issues, or these crappy Republicans?
Yeah.
And of course, everybody's going to pick the races they want to talk about. But
yeah.
a lot of people responded to that.
They did.
And that was really the point of the discussion. Holy cow. So what did they say?
All kinds of different things. I just decided for me that I'm not happy with many of the Republicans running, really. There's one or two that I think, okay, I could kind of get behind, but I don't really like any of them very much. But I know I really don't like any of the Democrats a lot. So the way I keep my psychological integrity is I'm just going to go after them, right? So I'm not really so much supporting anybody else. I'm going after what is the real evil, I think, in the room.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's pretty much the decision I've come to. You know, I'm going to stop attacking the individual Republicans, although I ain't laying off Putin. Sorry, I actually wrote, "I hope he loses." You know, but by and large, you know, we've got our Republicans on the ticket. We opposed most of them during the primaries, and I think the time is just to not say anything against them unless they do something egregious, because we've got plenty of Democrats to bash.
Yeah.
On the other hand, the GOP insists on continuing to bash and dun its base. It's like, you're a bunch of idiots for not doing what we tell you, and by the way, give us the money. I'm sorry, I'm not buying that, and I am going to keep bashing them.
Yeah, I'm up for that too. But I voted for Hemingway. I voted for Garcia. I voted for, everybody that. The only one that won was Garcia, I think, that I voted for. So what am I going to do? I could just sort of wallow in that, I guess, or just kind of move forward.
Yeah. So Garcia will do okay, I believe. Less so some of the others, but we'll give them our best shot. I mean, in my area, we got Kevin Avard running for state senate, and he's a thoroughly good guy.
Yeah.
So I don't.
And according to Steve Valancourt, he's got a chance. If those of you who didn't know, Valancourt had a number of posts up this week on NH Insider where he talked about polling data that he had collected, done a great deal of work collecting, and how it looked really, really bad for Democrats. And I think that's an interesting, and he's an inside guy. He's been, I mean, we don't agree on a lot of things, but he's been there and he's very thorough and he does a lot of digging, and we could butt heads all day, but I mean, he's like relentless in his pursuit of information, and he shares it all on NH Insider, which is a great site at nhinsider.com. Go there and read. But he's collected a lot of this data, and he's gone to all these different sources, and he looks at it, and he's not one to just say, oh, Republican this, Republican that. I mean, he's just as likely to be hating on Bill O'Brien as a Democrat is. But to give you some perspective, but to have that information available doesn't look good for Democrats, and I found that interesting because where we are, inside this sausage factory,
Haggis factory,
the Haggis factory, very good. You get in this, your worldview is shaped by that. The same reason that the people who are the low information voters have their worldview, because they're not at all involved in it. We have the opposite problem. So sometimes we have a habit of looking into it too far a certain way, or seeing a certain thing, and then something else happens, and we're like, because
right, and
we are a very small percentage of the voting populace.
Yeah.
So everybody we talk to says, we're all going to lose, we're all going to lose, we're all going to lose. We're all like, that's what you're exposed to every day.
And the Democrats are much simpler. They run on, I give you stuff, right? And Republicans are evil. It's pretty much two.
I'll give you his stuff.
I'll give you stuff. Republicans are evil. Yeah, I'll take stuff from him, give it to you. Republicans are evil. If that doesn't work, then they go with racism and gender,
and
sexism.
It's their
whatever.
fault that
but it's very
didn't
simple.
work. The fact that I took his stuff to give to you and you're not happy enough is his fault, or his fault, or her fault. It's not their fault. Always. I was just reading Bastiat was talking about that again. It's funny how a couple hundred years ago, here's a guy talking about people, because the Constitution is about human nature. The Declaration is about human nature. It's not about human nature in the 17th century or the 18th century. It's about human nature. We were talking about original source documents last week. You go all the way back to Plato. You go all the way back to the earliest writings. And it doesn't matter whether you're in Mesopotamia or you're in Virginia. Human nature has not changed all that much.
It never will.
And
no, it hasn't.
When Bastiat talks about legislators thinking they're brilliant experts and that they can solve all our problems, they thought that hundreds of years ago, and they still think it today, and it still doesn't work. So,
For sure.
You know,
sure.
that's
No, and that's exactly the problem. And there were economists, philosophers, and students of the law in the 16th and 17th centuries that done a very good job of codifying most of previous history and human nature and economic nature, and the founders had a huge wealth to draw upon, and it is to the shame of the country that the Democrats can actually get away with pretending that all this stuff doesn't exist, that none of this history matters, that this time it's different. Yeah, it'll probably blow up worse this time.
Yeah, well, for sure.
Guys, come on.
what I think you could surmise the entire founder's philosophy by saying, people suck. This might be the best chance we have.
I think so.
And that's pretty much it. Human nature needs to be constrained. Here's our best shot at it.
Right. I think that's right. And we keep thinking we can do better than that. We can't. And now we really think we can do better than it now, and we're pushing so far that we're in a lot of trouble.
The best we can do is to plug some of the cracks in the Constitution, not fundamentally alter it. Things like making the Commerce Clause actually mean what it says instead of letting the government interpret it.
For sure. But let's talk about libertarians a little bit. Can we do that?
We can talk about
yes,
libertarians.
Yes, we can.
They're somewhere between us and libertarians.
Sometimes people call me a libertarian. Oh, you want to put Skip on for that? They should.
You need to speak.
No, I'm going to get on a rant, and it's just going to take too long.
Go ahead. You
No.
you
This
can
is
rant
great.
first.
This is great. Go for it.
Why don't you rant before I go? Go
They
ahead.
can listen to me
Yeah.
every single week.
They do.
They do, exactly, and I read you every
That's the
single day.
whole point.
And this is all fine and good, Kevin, when you say, yeah, well, we're going to, maybe I didn't like who won, who didn't win, but by God, I'm going to vote for Republicans. Well, that's just crap. Okay? That's just crap. I got an email Friday. I think it was Friday. I don't remember anymore. And basically told one more time to shut up, sit down.
Oh, this is the one you showed us when you came in.
Eat the haggis, okay? Eat the freaking haggis, and I'm not going to do it. I am not going to do it. I get an email that says, we need to get behind Senator Booten and the rest of the Republican candidates in Merrimack County and fight the union machine. Excuse me, who voted against right to work?
Booten.
David Booten. For those of you who supported Jane Cormier in the primary and have differences of opinion with Senator Booten, differences of opinion. Now, I want you to
It's not
think.
opinion, it's fundamental philosophy.
It's drinking and swearing on video in public, for God's sake.
The guy
Okay?
has no
it's
morals.
shaking down people and trading your vote for constitutional carry. But let me continue.
Please.
For those of you who supported Jane Cormier in the primary and have differences of opinion with Senator Booten, as I have from time to time, it's time for cold hard thought. The primary is the time for passion and principle. But the general election is coming. So let's just throw passion and principle out the window.
Good. So without passion and principle, there's no reason to turn out. So we're still not going to vote for him.
The primary is the time for passion and principle, and the general is the time for defeating Democrats. They are the constant, vigilant enemies of constitutional government. Go on their websites. See what they stand for. If you are genuinely committed, Kevin, to conservatism, personal liberty, small, not just smaller. This is a parenthetical expression. Not just smaller government. Minimizing taxes, fiscal responsibility, protection of innocent human life, as opposed to not innocent human life. I don't get that. Second Amendment rights and the other principles in our platform, which has not been published and is missing still for how many days?
Ooh,
12.
12 days.
The 12 days of platform.
New Hampshire held hostage day 12.
Indeed.
Like Havenstein's pro-choice
Yeah.
position, you mean? Is that what you're saying?
Or snot browns.
Yeah.
You will not work for the election of people like Maureen Manning. General elections are a zero-sum game. So if you don't work for the Republican nominees, you may as well be working for Democrats like Maureen Manning. Every abstention, every write-in is a vote for Manning and her kind.
Are they beginning to grasp that they may have a stark future, as I keep reminding them?
Every public swipe at the Republican candidate gets the Democrats that much closer to governing you. Well, I call BS. You know what? I'm not going to vote for these people. I'm going to vote for somebody. But I'm not going to vote for these
way
people.
better than Ann Custer. So, you.
Oh, well, yeah, I can't tap dance, though. But, I mean, come on, Kevin, do you believe that?
No,
Just shut up,
I'm with you. No,
eat
I
the
don't.
haggis, and vote for these jackasses.
What I said is I'm just going to attack
Give it
Democrats.
up. Don't believe anything.
I'm just going to attack Democrats because that's something I feel honest about doing.
And
David Booten's not a Democrat?
Well,
Nancy
Close.
Stiles is not a Democrat?
closer,
Jeb
Close.
Bradley's not a Democrat?
even closer.
both.
Come
Well,
on.
at least attack the Democrats that are calling themselves Democrats and running as Democrats. And
I admire them for
attack
doing
Democrat philosophy, attack Marxism, attack Democratic Party philosophy. That's what I'm going to do.
You mean like
So-
expanded Medicaid? What else? More gas taxes? What else?
SB 120.
SB 120, shut up and sit down. I'm tired of that. I'm not going to do it anymore.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
And every time I get one of these emails, everybody says, "You know what, Susan? We'd like you to come and sit at the table, and we're gonna roll up a newspaper. We're gonna whack him on the nose, and we're gonna say, you know what? You can't do that anymore.
Yeah,
I have a dog like that.
I understand.
Jiminy Christmas! I'm sorry. See, I told
I
you it was a
understand.
rant.
No, it's a good rant, though. I certainly understand.
Yeah, no, this is most excellent. And, you know, sorry, Skip, by and large, I'm going to attack Democrats and shut up about most of the Republicans. But, Skip, go ahead.
My problem is the hypocrisy that underlies this all. Because you listen to Jennifer Horn or Matt Mowers or any other surrogate that puts out an e-blast or says anything to the mainstream press, and they're always blaming the Democrats. Well, that's their job. But it's when they blame the Democrats for something that Republicans have done that you look at the perfidy of that and you go, what the heck? If they're going to call the Democrats all kinds of names, and that's fine, we do that all the time at Granite Rock, and a lot of people seem to forget that. What we attack is any kind of hypocrisy. We don't care whether it's a Democrat or Republican one. If you say that you're a Republican and you don't align yourself with the Republican principles, or you conveniently forget or deliberately mislead that Republicans have gone off the reservation and acted like Democrats, I'm sorry, that's where I have the biggest problem.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
And that's what they don't want to face up to. That email that you read, Susan, is a perfect example of that. And what they seem to not get is what I've been saying for a while now. Winning is only the precursor. It's what you do with that power afterwards that counts. And what we've been seeing is they only care about the winning. And afterwards they go, we'll just do what feels good. It's the 60s philosophy of, okay, what feels good and keeps hopefully our seats in those, our butts in those seats afterwards. And this is the case where it's backfiring on Booten and others. You know, as of last week, most of the Republicans were losing here in the state of New Hampshire. Steve Allen Court stuff all aside. But if you look at the national polls from the national sites looking at all this stuff, at the governors, the senators, and the others, they were losing.
So does that mean then, you mentioned the 60s, so let's riff off of that for a second. Does that mean...
Can we riff after the break, please?
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Hi, this is Rich Gerard, host of Gerard at Large in the Morning, the Manchester area's only locally owned, locally operated, focused, and interested, riveting radio show, heard live every Monday through Friday from 6 to 9 on 90.7 FM WLMW, New Hampshire Family Radio, and available 24/7 live or archived at GerardAtLarge.com. Be sure to tune in.
This is a coalition of New Hampshire taxpayers. We're located at 8 North Main in Concord, New Hampshire. This is a repository for all things conservative and municipal. So if you have a problem in your town, your school, your budget committee, the right to know law, and now at the top of our list is voter fraud. You have a tip for us, some information for us, you want to join or help us out, cnht.org.
All right, we are back. Susan keeps trying to give the headset to Skip, but he won't take it, which means he's going to be taking mine again.
You're going to be so sorry.
Well, we're going to talk about libertarians now.
Well, so we mentioned
we're not.
we mentioned the 60s philosophy. Is it in fact the problem that many of the Republican legislators with which we have so much trouble are in fact also creatures of the 60s and think like the Democrats?
I think that's true.
Okay.
I know a lot of them. Yeah.
We'll have to do an analysis, but you could be right. They're all about the right age.
So I don't disagree with what Susan was saying.
And
at
some
all,
of us
actually.
are, and we don't espouse those
Absolutely.
philosophies. The only laissez-faire I espouse is economic laissez-faire.
Always have.
There are
Always will.
also a lot of 60s-based kind of libertarian utopians out there, and I think that's just as much of a challenge. So my audience with this rant were really the libertarians and the anarchists that I think despise conservatives more than Marxists, more than liberals. So those are the people I was really speaking to that won't, they hate conservatives. And I talk to a lot of them all the time, and they get much more animated in their anti-conservatism, anti-Christian, anti-religious,
anti-morality,
as they do with the Marxist.
All right, could you just give him that, please? Take this, because no, we're not doing it this way.
I miss Skip's analysis, actually.
You can trade it back and forth.
Or social conservative.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I watched it in the Ron Paul campaign. They were way more animated about going after like a Rick Santorum.
It's not just social; it's also fiscal, because they think the fiscal conservatives are all neocons in with the, let's take the rich people, oil money, all that crap. It's all the same song.
And any conception
which basically means that some of these guys are communists, not libertarians.
And that's what I think.
Real libertarians are about the Constitution, about limited government, not no government,
They'd be
and
libertarians.
about freedom of religion, not freedom from religion. And if you go the route of freedom from religion, you are in fact bordering on a communist, not a libertarian.
Yeah. I think I've been working for 2 years trying to pull those folks in to the kind of conservative coalition. Worked with a lot of the Ron Paul people, and some of them are just. No, they're just not pullable, and the animus they have towards conservatives is just palpable, and so that's what I was trying to speak to here. That I think those folks are not going to work towards a conservative coalition at all. I think they really are much more angry at, the people that they perceive to be against marijuana, the people they perceive to be against their rights, and so that really concerns me, and I think that they're out there.
It's a tough row to hoe, actually, because they are.
I know
pretty much committed.
There's big L libertarians and there's little L libertarians. And it's the big L libertarians that make me crazy, that are going to plant their freaking flag on the hill of marijuana and die for it and not care about anything else.
Yeah.
And there's such a generational, at least I can say this because
I agree.
I still am a female.
So I see that. Oh.
That there's this whole generational problem of young women today versus those of us that grew up and were on the front lines in the feminist movement. The whole generational shift of women today, I fight with them all the time because they're like, well, those social conservatives, we have huge differences between my generation and young women in their 30s and some of them even in their 40s that just don't really get the whole concept of structure and family and values and morals. Forgive me, morals. Free birth control. There's something called no. It's a declarative freaking sentence, right? Birth control is no, okay? No! Get it? It could be an exclamation mark. It could be a, question mark. It could be no, okay? It isn't something. Abortion is not birth control, and that's the jump that's been made.
And abortion isn't even about the right to life, like I was talking about the other day. It was, the entire idea of contraception and then later abortion when they could get it was just another socialist scheme to thin the population on the way to utopia. It has nothing to do with your right to contraception.
To the word no.
Right. So, and then, libertarians, for example, the big L libertarians in particular, will say, well, a woman has a right to an abortion. Do you understand that what you're doing is carrying the water for eugenicists who want to wipe out people like you on their way to their perfect paradise?
And I see all that overlap all the time. I see libertarians and liberals speaking the same language all the time.
And part of it's what they've been taught. They've been taught badly, and there are assumptions that have been passed along, and young women, forgive me, just really don't. God bless them. They don't get it.
You triggered a little software truism there, Susan. When you
endless
said
do loop. I'm stuck in one. I know it.
No. When you said badly, when software breaks and you look at it and it's exactly how the damn code's written, we say working as badly designed. and that's how our education system is today. It's working as badly designed. It is creating dumb output.
I agree. Yeah.
Well, that's absolutely it. The reason they think that way is because the system has trained them to think that way. And making sure he's out of camera shot.
Yeah.
And it's all about
no,
rights.
Annie's over here.
Okay. It's all about rights. Nobody's talking about responsibilities. It's all, what am I getting? I want my pot. You have to give it to me. I want my abortion. You have to give it to me. You're getting in the way of my getting what I want.
There are no consequences for bad behavior, including David Booten. That's bad behavior, and there should be consequences.
And you know what? Well, David Booten's behavior should have landed his ass in jail in any reasonable society. Yeah. And I'm perfectly happy for the kiddies to have their pot. I'm also perfectly happy for those of them that have got no self-control to end up in jail when they start a fight or drive a car while under the influence of said pot. Libertarianism isn't anarchism.
Well,
it isn't a free-for-all. It isn't a total lack of government. It is about governments are instituted amongst men, etc., etc. And just like classical liberalism in Britain in the 19th century was about small government, not smaller than freaking huge.
No government.
Not what did they say about limiting taxes, which basically means limiting the increase. No, how about actually reducing stuff?
Well, it's about a small central government. I mean, locally, it's about pushing control down to the local level. Now, at the local level, if you want to live in a little commune where you tax the crap out of everybody, you can go live over there, because that's where those people are, and you can vote to
Peterborough, right?
Peterborough, yes, and then
we should
Henniker,
declare we should declare the entire town of Peterborough a condo development because those are places where you voluntarily go inside the gates and pay through the nose,
right?
And every other orifice.
And that's your choice at the local level, but when you go up a couple steps, you no longer have that control. Yeah. And I think that, if we agreed to fight for local control as an issue, not just states' rights as an issue, but local control as an issue, a lot of people can agree on that if you can get past the social issues and everybody clinging to those, their pot. You're like, well, maybe the town of so-and-so can have pot fields everywhere, but what if the town next to them doesn't want that? Are you denying them that right?
Dylan's rule says you may.
All right, we're coming back in a couple minutes to have some more fun, and maybe we'll throw Booten under the bus a couple more times where he belongs. And there's plenty of other Republicans we can bash on, but we'll probably talk about some issues and a few other things because this is GrokTALK, and that's what we do. We'll be right back.
Senator Jeanne Shaheen said, if you like your current health plan, you can keep it. That's not true, Senator. 22,000 New Hampshire citizens have been kicked off their insurance plans. Hospitals in Rochester, Concord, and Portsmouth, they aren't allowed to provide care under the exchange. Senator, you were wrong in your comments. You should apologize for your misleading remarks. I'm calling Senator Shaheen at 750-3004 and telling her I want my doctor back. You should too.
Paid for by SaberPac.org, not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
We are struggling. Rising healthcare costs are part of the problem. Senator Jeanne Shaheen helped create this mess we're in. As a state senator, her bill chased 21 insurers out of our state. It reduced our choices, raised prices for New Hampshire families, and when Jeanne Shaheen supported Obamacare, it limited access to 10 of our 26 hospitals, reducing our choices again. Tell Jeanne Shaheen she's made healthcare worse. Few things are as important as finding the right doctor. And under Obamacare, that's harder than ever. Over a third of our hospitals no longer available. Our doctors no longer covered. Fewer choices, longer drives. No state has been harder hit than us. And even after watching it impact New Hampshire, Congresswoman Ann Custer still supports it. Call Ann Custer. Tell her Obamacare isn't working for New Hampshire.
This is a coalition of New Hampshire taxpayers. We're located at 8 North Main in Concord, New Hampshire. This is a repository for all things conservative and municipal. So if you have a problem in your town, your school, your budget committee, the right to know law, and now, at the top of our list is voter fraud. You have a tip for us, some information for us, you want to join or help us out, cnht.org.
Grok TV.